Alright, so we are going to make, for the next step in my project, we did the blinking LED first, and now we're going to do an LED chaser. So I took 10 resistors, the 220 resistors. I have 10 LED lights, and I am going to connect the cathode end, which is the negative end of the LED, into the grounder of the solderless breadboard. When I am looking at the positive and negative side of my LED, I always tell my students to remember that a positive attitude takes you further in life. So that is why our positive end is longer than the negative end. So that is a good way for you to remember the positive versus negative on your LEDs. So I am going to turn the video off, connect my LEDs, and then I'll be back. So far I have plugged in my LEDs and connected my 220 resistors, and from this point I'm just going to continue wiring. Okay, I have connected my LED lights with my 220 resistors, and then I'm using my male-to-male jumper cables. I've connected to pins 2 through 11, and now my board is ready, so I am going to program my chaser lights, and then I will plug it in and see how it goes. Alright, something very important that I forgot to hook up before I loaded my program was the grounding wire. So for this to work, we have to have that. It will, if you don't have your LEDs grounded, it will burn them out very quickly and cause your program not to run correctly. So make sure you plug in that grounding wire. I just used a jumper on my solderless breadboard and then connected it to the grounding pin. Sorry, that was blurry. So here is my final project. I started with just a blinking LED as described in the assignment, and I decided to go a little further with that program, and instead of using the blinking light, I implemented my solderless breadboard here, and I used 10 LEDs to make an LED chaser program. So we used the 220 resistors, and then we connected using our male-to-male jumper cords from our LED lights, and also our grounding jumper cord to our ground here on my Uno board here. I do have the Elegoo Uno R3 as opposed to the Arduino. It runs the same software, same functionality. I just went with the cheaper version, and as you can see, it has worked out perfectly for me. Sorry, that was my child. So if you want to try to do this project, I can share my code with you, and hopefully you can see here kind of how each piece is connected. They are all, let me unplug this so that you can, the flashing, you can kind of see how it's connected here. So we have the shorter end of our LEDs, the negative side, is connected into our negative ports there on the solderless breadboard. And then I have a jumper cable also connected to the negative. That jumper cable comes all the way over and connects to the ground cable. Next to that, we have the positive end of our LEDs connected. It doesn't matter which ports you connect them to on the breadboard. I got mine as close together as I could, but I did have, you can see where I had to skip between them because they were just all bunched up together. You use your 220 resistors. You plug those in right next to where the positive side of your LED is, and then over onto this side next to your jumper cables. And then your jumper cables is where you have to look where you're plugging in to your board over here, because when you write your program, you're going to need to make sure you are plugged in, or you're writing for the same ports that you're plugged into. I used ports 2 through 11 on mine, and then of course the ground as well. And that was my final project. I hope you guys enjoyed.